Do you remember when Asus promised that they're going to improve their customer service? Would it surprise you if I told you that nothing ever changes? After this, Asus would be completely willing to basically scam you out of your firstborn child. Before it was Asus motherboards exploding, and now it's thousands of claims with customers buying Asus products, getting almost scammed with it. With Gamers Nexus making another expose video about Asus customer service. It is awful. I had to ask the chat what you guys just thought about Asus before this whole thing. And honestly, the chat is pretty 50-50 about this company now. And I think Asus's reputation to the common consumer is kind of taking a nosedive. I've had some odd experiences. I bought a laptop from them. The thing on it, like the charging block, what, like 2 or 3 days out of warranty, and it broke. And they did not replace it for me. I remember I made a video on it and people were like, oh, you're just entitled. It's like, bro, it's like 2 days, man. Like, Jesus.
And they wanted to charge us $200 for that ding. Also, they never addressed the problem we sent it in for, only that thing that they decided to find.
Connector broken, also don't know what that's referencing.
No idea what that means. Felt like Asus tried to scam us when they tried to charge us $200 to repair something we didn't even claim as damaged in a warranty claim.
So wait, did they fix something they didn't even ask to be fixed?
This was sent back in. It's our Asus ROG Ally to repair a thumbstick problem. And somehow that turned into Asus saying that LCD needs to be replaced, even though the joystick is covered under their repair policies. And what's better still is it felt like Asus was threatening us by saying, we'll send the device back, possibly unassembled, if you—
Do you know who I am type of thing? Dude, do they know that they're interacting with Gamers Nexus? Man, Gamers Nexus loves making hit pieces.
Don't
They did? They hit themselves?
It honestly felt like an extortion attempt.
Were they testing it, or were they just doing this like as a normal thing?
If you don't pay this fee. It honestly felt like an extortion attempt where they're like, if you want to see your beloved Asus Ally working again, pay us $200 for something totally unrelated to the actual warranty claim you had. When we sent this into Asus, the screen was working. They said that the reason they were rejecting the claim is because of this. Can you see it? Can you?
What?
Do you have the zoom lens on? We might need a You know what? Let's bring this down to the microscope. I'll show you the damage.
Oh my God, bro.
We're gonna find the damage. I've got the Ally
It takes all
here.
the tech that Gamers Nexus has to find it then. God.
So where
it ain't
is
nothing.
the damage?
Dude, how did the technician even find this?
Oh, there it is. That's...
We are not joking. They sent us a photo of this and said, this is why we need to be...
$200. And we're not alone in this, and we have evidence as always. Just this week, a user posted on Reddit noting that Asus demanded 3,758 Canadian dollars to repair a 4090 video card, which the user paid 2,799 CAD for. The reason for the repair was a scratch in the housing of the 2,700.
Oh, he bought a 4090. Oh my God. Oh my God. Dude, I saw a comment on one of the latest videos. It was just like, my wallet is bottlenecking.
99 CAD for. The reason for the repair was a scratch in the housing of the connector. Not burning, not melting, not fracturing. Literally a scratch. The same problem we had with our Ally. This sounds like policy. And as quickly as possible, here are examples from our own viewers who have emailed us. March 26th, a viewer emailed us claiming Asus cracked the chassis of their laptop.
Dude, the thing is, like, this dates back to what they've done before. Is like when they were going through the AMD CPUs blowing up or melting and stuff. This was a similar situation. Like, they were really weird with customer service. They were really roundabout language that protected their asses the whole time.
One was sent in for repair.
This is a
user
problem.
has documentation supporting this. March 13th, the viewer emailed us stating that their new video card exhibited instability. Asus
almost
replaced
$3K for a 4090 is wrong just because it has a scratch on it.
Device with a different damaged refurbished device.
Part of me thinks this is funny, but another part of me is like, dude, this is ridiculous, bro. These are real people.
Induced damage. The user believes Asus damaged the board. Very first, the user emailed us telling us about an Asus RMA for a motherboard which Asus remotely diagnosed as having memory issues. Asus later quoted the user $190 for the repair of the $210 motherboard, citing quote-unquote physical damage. after previously diagnosing a memory issue. December 21st, user
Yeah, we're gonna fix your $200 motherboard for $190. Okay. All right.
emailed us telling us about how their laptop was stuck in RMA hell for over a month. December 7th, a user emailed us where Asus quoted them $2,658 to repair a laptop. The laptop is one of Asus's special ones that ships with liquid metal pre-installed by Asus. The liquid metal leaked. User states they never opened the system, and Asus denied the claim and demanded money to fix it. And we
see, that's why people put the tamper protection screws on it. Like, even though they can't really hold people to the tamper, like if you unscrew one of the things with a sticker on it, but they didn't mess with the freaking liquid metal when it leaked. Bro, wasn't that a thing with PS5s too? Asus liquid metal? Oh God.
Over the past several months alone, and this is a list we're
Jeez,
showing now from May
man.
2023 alone. Last time we did this with Asus, featuring damaging devices and for repair and returning them, stating that 109 degrees for GPU hotspot is normal, it's not, and more. And Asus
I say, from me personally, I've never worked or even talked to Asus at all. Asus
clearly has a warranty problem. And today, all of that is what we're talking about, but we are fortunate enough to have our own experience with it.
Oh boy.
And it wasn't a good one. We sponsored our own undercover warranty investigation. If you want to directly fund the extreme lengths.
So I want to see later too, if their experience with their ROG Ally, did they have to try this multiple times? Like, were they trying to do a hit piece? So I get a little iffy with that kind of stuff. Were they phishing? I mean, yeah, it's far from isolated, but every company does have issues with RMA. But even my experience has been bad. It's a pretty cool shirt. I actually kind of like that. I have a Gamer's Nexus shirt, actually.
With a ribcage design made of computer components like cables, RGB LED strips, water cooling components, and a spine on the back made of MOSFETs, inductors, and VRM components. These shirts directly fund.
These shirts are the epitome of nerd. And I've still, like, I wore one of the Gamer's Nexus shirts when I was going out. Well, I wear it actually pretty consistently. I keep thinking somebody's going to notice it's a Gamer's Nexus shirt, but nobody notices. So I guess that's a good thing, but they're definitely nerdy. They're so nerdy.
Our in-depth reporting and ability to hold manufacturers accountable. You can also grab something like one of our heavy-duty silicone soldering and project mats. Head over to store.gamersnexus.net to pre-order.
They just have a screenshot of him in the video up there.
The shirt today, or grab one of our other items. So now 1 year later, almost exactly since we last.
Yeah, this is similar to, like, LTT does do this as well. They do what are they called? Guess not. Secret Shopper. Yeah, you're right. That's actually a fun series on LTT. And this is basically similar to this, but take it to an extreme pretty much.
We are back to blow the doors back open about what it's like to really be a customer of Asus. This is our Asus ROG.
Oh, you get the privilege to be a customer of Asus. Yes.
Ally Z1 Extreme. We've had it for about just under 1 year, actually. And we've bought two of these now. The other was the non-extreme device. In just 1 year since purchasing, our Z1 Extreme has had the following issues. The micro SD card slot never worked and seemingly burned itself out. The left joystick on the X-axis stopped working and began drifting.
Oh, that makes it unusable.
Which you can see in some of our footage showing mouse cursor movement on the desktop. And the battery has already lost 8% of its lifespan in just 1 year of extremely lightweight use. That's a lot of problems in one.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it too, like if their unit's having issues, they only really do it for testing. For other company or other people who do like long-term reviews, it makes more sense that they would have more issues crop up. But like Gamers Nexus really just puts it through its paces. I don't think anyone daily drives one there. I mean, I might be wrong on that, but not that I know of.
And two of those are inarguably not our fault. In fact, they are so not our fault that Asus has made fixes for them part of their explicit warranty coverage. So anyway, we sent the Ally in, and before we did, because it seems like hundreds of you have complained to us about having similar issues, we decided to carefully photograph and document every single corner of our device and also get the internals of it documented. In addition to super high resolution photos, we also took microscope shots of the PCBs, the connectors, we logged the...
Damn. Granted, I'm gonna give Asus a little bit, to be clear, I don't think that they're in the right here. I'm gonna give them a little bit of a benefit of a doubt. Can see that it's been taken apart. A company is less likely to want to work on the product, but it doesn't give them the right to scam you. obviously.
The level of stripping on the screw heads, and we logged any damage of our own to the plastics. We also removed our SSD, because our advice to anybody sending a device in for repair of any kind is to remove the drives.
That's smart. That's smart. You don't want people to take your data. Especially like I have a Steam Deck. A Steam Deck doesn't have too many personal things on it other than your Steam password. But like the ROG Ally is like a Windows device. Like Windows, oh man, they got everything on you, man.
A good test of Asus's processes and competence.
SteamOS is a little
Here's
different.
the timeline. First, we filed an RMA for the defective thumbstick, and this part is critical. We did this anonymously. They didn't know who we were. We're just a normal customer. And we also did not tell them about our broken micro SD card slot, which again, as a reminder, that is an Asus problem, not an us problem. So that's important to this story because we wanted Asus to discover it on their own if they were going to discover it. Here's how all this went down. First, we did some troubleshooting locally and swapped the thumbstick between our Z1 Non-Extreme and our Z1 Extreme. We found that this fixed the issue, indicating a defect in the PCB or the stick itself, so that's an easy repair for them. We then swapped it back to the original state, and our issue matched this one described on Reddit. On April—
What's so weird though is if you know it's just a joystick problem, dude, joysticks don't cost that much. Well, it depends on the device, but like as a company, as Asus, dude, a joystick probably like $5. I mean, to replace it, the labor and stuff, maybe like 40. But they should make their devices in a way that is easily to replace a joystick. Joysticks fail all the time.
And our issue matched this one described on Reddit. On April 8th, we contacted Asus customer support. We told them only that the left stick doesn't work. Here's our exact RMA form. Patrick filled this out. I asked him to pretend to be a relatively uninformed customer who only knows
left stick is broken and only goes up and down. Ooga booga, ooga booga.
enough to know that the joystick isn't working right. This is part of our normal testing for warranties, so rather than acting as patient and well-informed customers leading them to the answer, we act as an uninformed user who is normally patient at first, but becomes frustrated as the company genuinely becomes frustrating to deal with.
So they're basically like A-list actors. They know the system in and out.
It seems fair. So that's our process.
What's up?
And normally our view is if the company can survive that, it's kind of like a thermal.
Yeah, because I know on the Steam Deck, it is really easy to fix a joystick, especially with the OLED version, which is the one I have. And I'd be surprised if theirs wasn't easy to replace too.
So that's our process. And normally our view is if the company can survive that, it's kind of like a thermal torture test. It's like if it can pass this test, it can pass anything. And we just keep the bar as long as it's sort of reasonable but frustrated. That's the max we'll dial it up to these days for these tests. Now, Asus asks you to write your operating system password and BIOS password in plain text.
I didn't even see that before. What? Dude, that's insane. They write down your mother's maiden name, the street you grew up on, where you were born. Okay.
In their RMA form. They do suggest that you just wipe those passwords instead, though. So instead of doing something insane, like writing a password on a piece of paper going in the mail, we ensured no passwords were on the device at all.
Right, so Asus recommends removing the operating system. You can do that? Oh, I guess you can, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess that makes sense. That's so weird, man. That's real Asus right there. Asus, man.
Removing them from BIOS and also taking the SSD out. Asus is very clear in these things as well. They say, quote, Asus is not responsible, all caps, to you or any third party for loss of data, including during the inspection process. This is
That's one of the reasons why you take the drive out, just in case they broke your drive. It almost seems like you would have to provide the drive if they want to check Windows. Wouldn't you think that if they're repairing ROG Allies, you would think that they would have basically like swap in drives, like hot swap ones that you could just plug in and get it to work? You shouldn't need a drive. And honestly, why would they need your password for your OS or anything?
They actually explicitly say that they will, quote, not be returned to you. Not that they might not be returned, but straight up that they won't be returned.
Please note all accessories sent in with your return are not listed below will not be returned. I didn't believe him when he said I had to read it for myself. That is nuts. Now, I don't know why you would send any accessories with it, but
returned. So fair enough, they warn you.
They know it's going to get
the
lost.
box and the accessories. We then
But that's them covering their ass.
fabricated a signature for our undercover alias, Pat Stain, operating in conjunction with Agent Beeve Sturk. Both have been on the job for about a decade now, and we sent it in with a simple note that said, left stick is broken and only goes up and down. That seemed sufficient without being belligerent or overly annoying. On April 9th, we packed the box and shipped it to Asus' spec. Asus provides an RMA checklist. They ask you to wrap the device with a few inches of bubble wrap, pack it in a box with an
Cameron, you mother. God damn it. He said he's got 3 ROG boards. He does have 3 ROG boards.
Asus provides an RMA checklist. They ask you to wrap the device with a few inches of bubble wrap, pack it in a box with an air gap, then pack that box in a box. We think that's great. They also provide a shipping label, which is good, as we'd have dinged them pretty hard for that, since it's ultimately their fault the device is going back anyway. We dropped the device off on April 9th, and by April 16th, it was...
I mean, I just want to say, clearly from this, they packed this box very well. Dude, I love that way. Look, their entire thing is Pat Sting.
Asus emailed us on April 18th, and this is when the problems began. And they told us that they were testing the device. They said the turnaround would be 7 to 10 days. The same day, Asus emailed us with this, quote, we would like to inform you that your product is out of warranty or judged as customer-induced damage, CID, thus the repair charge shall be applied. Our service center will contact you with more detail. There was no way for us to respond to this. They don't have an option to reply. And in fact, the email was sent from a no reply mailbox, which if you...
Wait. Did they say they're going to send it back to him or no? They just said it was out of warranty. Okay, cool. What are they going to do about it?
There was no way for us to respond to this. They don't have an option to reply. And in fact, the email was sent from a no reply mailbox, which if you replied to it, gets bounced as failed to send.
What exactly is customer-induced damage? The thumbstick is broken and didn't happen for my use. I haven't even had it that long. Dude, they really went full infiltration mode. They didn't even put the apostrophe. What is, and no capital on the W, what is the damage, and then why can't you just fix it under stick warranty? Just not. You can't even ask what's happening? They allow you, they show you a link of where it is, but they don't allow you to ask questions about what's happening. Bro, that's crazy.
As failed to send. So it's particularly frustrating just because we knew there was no customer-induced damage. We had documented every aspect of the device before sending it in.
And you know on another level of it, obviously they provided all these pictures and stuff, but like they know, they've tested this device. They're gamers, Nexus, bro.
And yet we had no way at that time to dispute the claim.
MSI Claw is not better, bro. No. That shit hot ass.
We just sat and waited. On April 19th, only a day later, we received a more detailed email. It said, quote, we received your unit at our repair center with signs of damage which is not covered under the manufacturer's warranty. So strike two, and this is starting to feel like the Newegg motherboard story. They sent us a list referring to notebooks, monitors, video cards, and motherboards, none of which are an Asus Ally, and all of which are...
They're like, oh, you know, your Asus Ally, it has a monitor, it has a motherboard, and it has a graphics card in it. So, well, it doesn't have it has a GPU in it. So basically it's the same thing.
Completely irrelevant. And they basically just said there's customer damage. And to us, the lack of transparency here, the lack of information is an immediate red flag. Whereas a customer, it feels like you're getting fleeced for money for something that...
That's like a copy pasta from them, bro.
You sent it in with one problem and now it's suddenly got all these new problems you never noticed or heard about. And it just feels like a scam. So it's certainly structured to encourage acceptance from people who don't know better and from people who feel time pressure because they put you under a lot of time pressure to agree to all of this quickly lest you receive the device back in pieces. And we want...
Yeah, it's weird because they have the ROG Ally and it's almost like, are they going to keep it or not? Bro, I've had that problem before. I sent a monitor. I had an AOC monitor and they're based in Korea. So I had to send it to Korea. I kind of thought that it wasn't under warranty and my cat's pissed on it. So I figured it was my fault at that point, but I sent it to them. When I did, they just kept it. Oh, yeah, it was North Korea, of course.
Wondered what the damage could be. So Asus sent us this photo of the damage. You might not be able to see it. Again, we had to check our own photos to make sure they didn't
That's crazy. That little nick?
Cause it, but that microscopic ding
Oh,
was
there's
in
Inman
fact
too.
from us. And they wanted to charge us $200.
What the fuck? Dude, you can't be serious. They didn't even fix it. Okay. This is what they're doing. All right, guys, I think I figured it out. Is instead of making an RMA program, they're actually doing this for profit. You see? They just fix these problems and then charge people money for them. And then they become their RMA business. It's profitable. Usually people lose money on RMAs.
We didn't even ask them to fix that part. We didn't even notice that part. That's how small it was. Also, they never addressed the problem we sent it in for. Only that thing that they decided to find. To
Like, who cares?
us, in combination with the emails from our viewers and with the recent story about that video card with the insane charge related to a similar problem, it feels like an intentional attempt or a policy to mislead the customers into a position where they'll pay for a service they don't need.
Oh, your internet's broken. Instead of fixing it, we could give you fiber. What's bad too is like an ROG Ally. Like, this is a particular product that is like pretty normy. Like, I'm not sure if that many like very technical people are into. I mean, it's like a little bit further. Like, if you're getting just like a console, you get a Switch, okay? Or even if you're going more hands off, you're getting a Steam Deck. An ROG Ally is a little bit above that, but it's not that technical of a device. So you're gonna get some people that don't know what the heck is happening. You got like weak self-esteem, bro. People get taken advantage of. I already see it.
Willing or
Or like confidence. You're weak.
not sure you can stand up for yourself because they're trying to sell an unneeded fix. And if Asus is worried about losing money on every Ally because they have to replace the entire motherboard and 2 thumbsticks, then maybe this would be a way to help cover the cost. We don't.
That would kind of make sense. You just think about it too. They made that mistake with the SD card slot, and they had to. Did they even fix that? I don't even think they have. Have they fixed the SD cards? So you guys are saying no? I don't think they did. I never heard anything about fixes for that. If they're having to compensate people for SD cards because their thing doesn't work.
Know their motives, but if I were to try and think through reasons why you would do this, that'd be the first one I would assume. Now, back to the email, nowhere in it did Asus say it would fix the thumbstick for which we sent the device in. The best part is that in the background of Asus' own photo of damage, our own
Bro, it looks like they just looked at it and they're like, okay, $200. That's crazy.
RMA form can be seen with the words detailing the completely unaddressed thumbstick issue. Asus said the quote was delivered for an LCD module replacement at $98.53. Labor for that was $60 and shipping was $20, because now they're claiming there's customer-induced damage, which means that they can try and scam us out of another $20.
Dude, that is so scummy.
$20 for shipping,
Dude.
instead of being forced to eat the cost for their own stick
That's
defect.
fucked
That
up,
started
bro.
this whole thing. So that's a clever way to avoid paying the shipping cost. There's some tax in there too, totaling $191.47.
What is the tax for? What did they sell? It's sales tax. What?
At this stage, they finally gave us the option to pay, reject, or dispute, and once again, nowhere in there did it mention the original issue or the micro SD card issue that we knew existed but wasn't disclosed. Quote, please be advised that
I guess you have to dispute at that point, I guess. I don't know.
if payment is not received for repairs to the unit will be sent back unrepaired and may be disassembled.
So they're saying if they took it apart, then they would send it back to you? They wouldn't even put it back together? You took it apart, put it back together. How do you expect a normal person's gonna do that? Or they want you to pay for it? That's just like another thing, is like they want you to pay and just eat the cost.
Liquid damage may prevent our repair team from reassembling the unit for return. Where did the liquid damage come? That like came out of nowhere.
Did somebody piss on it?
The repair technicians are drinking a little bit while they're working on it. That would actually explain a lot. That might.
But that's
that might
alcohol.
explain
Alcohol is
most of
fine,
this.
bro.
But we'd assume
Alcohol
that the
electrolyte,
liquid
that's
damage
great,
thing is part of some form email that they just send to anyone. But that doesn't make it okay.
You're buying Asus, you agree to get pissed on. And you like it too.
That's what that was. Now, we have a number of legal questions about this, and so I connected with Louis Rossman to ask if he knew anyone who could help inform us and educate the audience on your rights as a consumer for warranties. Magnuson Moss, for example, is one of the commonly cited acts, and what else you might be able to do. It sounds like we're gonna have a part 2 to this, and it'll be a pretty interesting one. But for now, we need to finish these emails. So, in the meantime, the rest of Asus's email said this, quote, please note that if no action is taken with this quotation, your product will be returned to you unrepaired after 5 business days.
They repeated that. Wow.
From the invoice date, end quote. However, Asus also says that acceptance of the quote is required in 3 days and that the quote is only valid for 4 days. This creates intense—
Damn, what if you didn't check your email for like 3 days? Dude, I don't check my email for like 3 days sometimes.
Intense pressure for the customer to accept because delays could result in a disassembled box of scrap being returned in the mail. Asus also doesn't even guarantee it'll work. They say, quote, any out of warranty repair fee prescribed—
Weren't they supposed to fix it? They might give you a freaking broken one?
by Asus and accepted by the customer is non-refundable and does not guarantee that repairs can be made. Continuing the timeline, we didn't respond for a few days. On April 22nd, we received a reminder that the invoice has been outstanding for 2 days now. Asus again warns that the device will be returned unrepaired if we don't respond within 5 total days, even though the device has defects that Asus—
An invoice quote for your repair of your product was recently sent to you 2 days ago. If you haven't received it, please check your spam folder. Dude, I don't get when some companies do this and they send you another email. And they're like, if it's in your spam folder, bro, this one's gonna go to the spam folder too. So they're saying that they wouldn't fix— Dude, that's ridiculous. They might not fix it if you don't respond in time.
Choices. There is no presented option to reject the unnecessary paid-for repair and accept only a free repair covered under their own explicit policy. Fortunately, because their warranty policy is written and they are contradicting themselves, customers have some pretty substantial legal ammunition to be used against Asus, and we'll talk—
Dude, they're gonna get sued? Dude, I mean, this is like a recurring thing, bro.
Talk about that more in a little bit. On April 22nd, we issued an RMA dispute. The dispute only allows 100 characters, so you really don't have much room to defend your case. We tried to send more detail, but a 100 characters—
Dude, I can't believe it. You can't even tell them what's wrong. Bro, they got you by the— Bro, they got you by the fucking balls. God, they're squeezing and twisting.
Character limit is pretty strict. To fully test Asus, our dispute was written with the tone of a frustrated, uninformed customer, so it's intentional to read like this, and we accused Asus of breaking our screen because their quote indicated a screen replacement, despite us sending it in with a functioning screen. The same day, Asus responded to the dispute with this, quote, our service team found case dent on your unit. The screen works fine. However, in order to replace the dent case, the whole LCD—
Nobody asked. Nobody cares about the dent. Bro, this kind of seems like they've got like 3 people working there and they're trying to like shuffle off like all of the repairs.
As it is directly connected to the case. They are a whole part. Physical damage is excluded from the standard warranty coverage. If you would like to proceed with service, payment is required. Or we can proceed warranty repair for card reader joystick issue only and ignore the dent if you do not care about.
They never asked. Dude, that would be something you fix the joystick. This is how it should be done. You fix the joystick and then you do a follow-up email and you're like, hey, we noticed there's a dent on your case. Would you like us to fix it while we're here? That's how it should work. If the joystick doesn't work, you can't use it. Oh, I know this is them making money. I get it. But they deserve to be like sued over this. This is disgusting.
The screen replacement. The same day, Asus sent us a second reminder that our RMA will be automatically rejected if we don't pay up immediately. That this dispute we filed didn't pause the process of rejecting the RMA because it hadn't been paid for yet is insane. It's manipulative. It is—
Wait, so that timer's ticking down while you're emailing them about this too?
overbearing, and it applies a huge amount of pressure to a legitimate customer to
What if they don't
capitulate
email you for
and
like 2
pay,
days?
lest they risk receiving a device unrepaired and potentially disassembled. 10 days in, Asus finally answers our question we've had this whole time. They say they'll repair the joystick and confirm that it doesn't require payment. They say, quote, "We have reached out to our repair team to request partial repairs."
Okay. Get this straight, right? So the normal joystick fix is covered under warranty, right? They shouldn't have to pay at all for that, right? Joystick and SD card, those are completely covered by warranty. So they're just trying to squeeze out every little drop out of Gamer's Nexus here. Man, that dent, that dent. Man, I pay $3,000 to fix that dent. Oh, they're scamming Pat Sting. My bad.
After Asus told us this, we received another email that states this, quote, "We received your service cancellation on your pending repair. We will proceed with returning your unit to you unrepaired," end quote. And
dude, they're not even gonna do the free fix. Dude, I would have an aneurysm dealing with this.
the RMA number that they showed in this email was the only one we were ever issued.
So there's like 20 people working on the same email. That's what's happened, and none of them talk to each other. It's like the US government, man.
There were not separate RMA numbers for the out of warranty and in warranty repairs. It's now unclear to us as customers what the hell Asus is even going to do at this point. It's Schrodinger's RMA. The device is both repaired and unrepaired as long as you don't open the box. We ignored that email and we replied to the one prior that told
If you do open the box, you might find out that it's still disassembled and they sent it back to you.
us they'd fix the joystick. We replied with a simple okay, as there was no call to action and no questions. The next day, Asus said this, quote, "Our team has indicated that they are able to proceed with the repairs of your product and ignore the cosmetic issues. As such, we discarded the quotation and you will receive a system-generated cancellation response, which should be ignored as repairs will resume." Now, as a reminder, this came after they sent that response.
Open the box and the cat peed on your ally, Joe.
April 26th, Asus says it generated a shipping label for return. We're still not sure if they fixed anything at this point. April 29th, it ships, and on May 4th, it's delivered to us. Asus provided this hard copy of the repair report.
Dude, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see it. Did they even fix it? Okay.
No online version of this made available to us, which means that this is the first time in the entire...
This is good at least. What they're saying is that they didn't have an SD card and they made note of that right at the beginning. You know how they said that they wouldn't return you with your accessories? At least that's the thing. What's up, Top Time?
No online version of this made available to us, which means that this is the first time in the entire process we have any indication as to what Asus actually did. And here's a quick clip of me and Patrick trying to decipher what it means.
So problems... Can't detect memory card. That's an issue we had. I don't think we ever told them about that.
We did not tell them about the SD card.
They evaluated it. That must have been when they found the $200 dent in it.
Connector broken. Also don't know what that's referencing.
No idea what that means. Everything, there were no broken connectors when we sent it in.
Mechanical assembly problem.
What is that?
Maybe the thumbstick.
Strip screws?
System noise.
Okay, don't know what that means.
Yeah, gap abnormal.
What does that mean?
We had taken it apart.
What the hell? Okay.
Before, so.
Yeah, but that was, I don't think I've like ever been.
I guess they have to like break it down and break down every single part of it so that they can tell you what they can scam you on.
So they say
Tape for system noise.
tape.
What? Replace parts. Oh boy. Tape. What is that, like 50 cents?
Wait, okay, we'll have
Mylar.
We'll inspect that. And then gap abnormal, mechanical, and for the assembly problem, they expunged.
How do they do the typo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times? Dude, that's incredible.
The parts. Then they have I/O board for connector broken, con for connector broken. This whole thing's a con, and then main board for can't detect memory card. Wait, what the fuck?
So all of these are the in warranty repairs that were done. Yeah. Because they have a note here that we denied the screen replacement.
Yes, we denied the unnecessary screen replacement.
Just think about it too. That is just bad design. Why do you have to take apart and basically throw away a screen just to replace the shell on the unit?
So here's the quick recap. The motherboard, both I/O boards, and both joysticks were replaced as part of the repair.
What? Or they basically built a new ROG Ally. That's so much of it. The freaking motherboard, the joysticks, and the I/O. Don't they just have to replace that joystick?
Repair. On the report, these are all marked as ECN, which we think stands probably for Engineering Change Notice. This to us would imply that Asus is replacing these components as part of standard practice when any
That's a lot. Why are they replacing that much?
Ally comes in from at least 2023. What's really unclear is that their RMA language says that it's covered for the Asus ROG Ally, and it says parenthetically 2023. That is not a model. That doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is, sorry, some customer-induced damage, is the RC71. There's no year signifier on it. Now, if we were to give them some leeway, maybe what they mean is manufactured in 2023. So,
you know, I don't always think that like GN is that funny, but bro, sometimes, man, they got some bangers, bro.
it seems like they might be just replacing all those boards, or maybe those within a certain
They're
serial
goofy.
range. If that's true, it sounds like a soft recall that should have probably been turned into a real recall a long time ago, or at least done with active outreach to the customer. Now, barely more than a week ago, The Verge directly asked to Asus, quote, has Asus actually found a hardware fix for the faulty SD card readers? If someone RMAs their ally to Asus this way, will they get an SD card reader that no longer fails? To which Asus responded, quote, our commitment is to assist all customers effectively. If any user suspects they're encountering issues with their products, we encourage them to reach out and make use of our RMA process as needed. They can expect us to provide a suitable resolution.
They're like, hey, you can use our RMA because we make money on that. To be honest, too, with the SD card reader, I don't even know what they do about it. They just messed up, man. That's like the red ring of death on the Xbox 360, bro. They just messed up.
RMA process as needed. They can expect us to provide a suitable resolution. In other words, to translate corpo speak, no, they haven't found a solution, because if they had, they would have said yes. It's really that, it's as simple as an if-then statement. If the answer isn't equal to yes, it is no. It doesn't matter what they say after that.
It's true. It's true. He's definitely right about this. There's some stuff like, do you guys hear about the Xbox layoffs and stuff lately? There was an interview with the Xbox president. They were asking some of those tough questions about the layoffs, and there is not a good answer for the president to give. So she just kind of like talked around it, kind of gave an answer. You can't say anything. It's just bad. They don't want any bad PR.
Asus did fully repair our ally.
I get it.
That includes both the stick issues
keep them stockholders
and
happy.
the unmentioned micro SD card issue for now. We'll see if it fails again. That required replacing basically the whole system. The APU or the SoC, the Wi-Fi card, all of the VRM components, all the MOSFETs, inductors, capacitors, everything that's on the board, all of it was replaced. And
that's nuts.
It was only done after we fought them over a manipulative repair process that, in the early stages of it, up until we finally got a resolution, it feels like it tries to guide customers.
Dude, I might get that shirt, bro. That shirt's kind of cool.
Into accepting a $200 fee for the world's tiniest plastic divot.
I agree with Steve here. I feel like the main thing that they're trying to do here is just try to recoup them costs, man. I mean, they're bleeding out on these repairs. It seems like the ROG Ally needed some more time in the oven.
Is most of the device. In fact, one of the only things they haven't replaced at this point is the screen, which is interesting because that's what they were trying to charge us to replace. So those are some expensive repairs, and if Asus is having to do those repairs on all 2023 Allies, it may explain why the Ally X hardware that they just announced was announced at all, and why Asus is uncomfortably squirming in a...
This makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's why it needed more time though, bro. They're releasing another one. That's why the turnaround has been so quick. And that's why, like, Valve, for example, with the Steam Deck hasn't been so pressured to release a new one, because there hasn't really been any issues with it.
New interview with The Verge, quote, and while Asus still won't admit that the Ally's SD card reader ever had any fault, The Verge says,
Dude, that's so much cap. Well, okay, they're not technically wrong. The SD card reader is fine. They're like, actually, the only problem they're breaking is because they got too hot because the freaking cooling fans blow right over it.
Tells me it's the same exact SD card reader it uses in its laptops, and says it doesn't believe any issues actually had to do with overheating, The Ally X will have a rearranged motherboard layout that sounds like
Oh, that's crazy how that works, huh? That's crazy. I had no problems. Ah, man, but we have to redesign it. Ah, that's crazy.
it'll move it away
That's
from the
corpo,
system's
so much
vents.
corpo, bro.
Subquote of Asus to The Verge, they said, we don't want people to think that's what we had to do. We had to move things around.
Dude, that's nuts.
I can't believe someone who works for the company said that on the record and got quoted. That is probably the most defensive response I've ever seen to something like this in the press. Where they're like, yeah, we moved everything and it's not where the hot stuff is anymore.
Well, Asus has never made a mistake before. That's the thing.
And if we hadn't pushed back,
They just redesigned it for fun.
documented our device carefully and exercised some basic rights, it is possible that Asus could have twisted this and either made us pay $200 or put us in a position where, as a customer, you feel like you have to. The mark that Asus used to justify a new screen was a side effect of us opening the Ally to remove the SSD anyway, because they say that they can't guarantee your data will stay on there. So claiming customer-induced damage for that mark could be a makeshift warranty void if removed sticker without saying it. In other words, the customer appears to have opened the device.
You know what they should start doing? They should just make the shells for these like so delicate, so if anybody ever opens it, then they claim that it's basically like the warranty sticker. Plus, hear me out, they also get the right to say, oh, we can fix that for you. It's just gonna be like $2,000, that's it.
Sticker without saying it. In other words, the customer appears to have opened the device, so reject the claim. And if that's the case, that's where Rossman thinks, to quote him, it might be a bullshit way, can you tell Lewis said it, to skirt the Magnuson-Moss Act. And we'll have more about that in probably a part 2, where we're going to be speaking with some experts on the matter of all of this. But for part 1, couple takeaways. First of all, you can file FTC complaints, I've learned. There's a way to do this. We will link the form below for you. Some really basic stuff you fill in.
Wow.
But if any company, Asus or otherwise, screws you in a warranty process in a way which is unfair or potentially fraudulent, then there's actually a form that, from what Louis Rossman was telling me, and from what some of his associates we'll speak with soon, were telling me, it sounds like the FTC takes that very seriously now. My understanding is that the fine is up to...
I mean, they should take it seriously, bro. I mean, like, if this happens to everybody, like, you can't afford that. What's the point of RMA if you get scammed on it?
This whole situation, this is unbelievably anti-consumer. I, at this point, have absolutely no tolerance for Asus's behavior with this stuff, because last year we covered it extensively. And if you remember the end of that series, it was not quite positive, but it was going from extremely negative up to neutral. It was on an uptrend. The reason is, at the end of the whole series, Asus's then PR person sent me a 10-point plan where they said, here's what we're gonna improve point by point. And it actually was pretty.
I bet they did that.
And so at that point, we reported it. We said, this sounds good, but we don't know. We need to wait and see, because it takes time to roll all these changes. We'll have to revisit it and test it again. That PR person has since quit their job and gone to a different company.
I wonder why that happened.
We are now 1 year later. Asus has had time to make these changes, and they're still doing the same bullshit.
Well, the problem is the only person there that thought of the changes to make, they left. So, like, what can they do? You know what I mean?
So, yeah, at some point, it starts to look like it's policy, and not like it's oopsies, we happen to screw up on specifically your thing. And so... I think
Oopsies,
for us,
the cat peed on your ROG Ally.
My conclusion to this is pretty simple. First of all, if you've had an Asus warranty problem, we want to hear about it. Email us at tips@gamersnexus.net. We already have at least dozens, if not multiple hundreds of emails from people, but we'd still like some more. So send them over with as much documentation as you have.
I just want to say, it's like really impressive. Like, it may not sound like a lot, but if they go through a bunch of emails from people sending them things, dude, this takes a long time. It is a lot of work.
You know, we've now seen this in 2 areas of Asus's devices, motherboards and allies. That's what I have personally experienced with them. There's plenty of posts online. People have laptop problems. There's the video card one that blew up in the news this past week. Don't buy Asus. Unfortunately, I don't know that I have a recommendation for an alternative for things like motherboards and video cards. I think what you...
I mean, let me see what he says. Let me see this.
You have to buy the thing you think is the least likely to cause you a need to have support. But
because I don't think any of the companies are that much better than Asus. The only company that I've really asked for help on was Elgato. And their Elgato, like the Elgato support was great. They tried to help me walk through the issue. It ended up just being that I had a faulty capture card, but they walked me through it and were checking everything with me. I don't know if there's any other, like Gigabyte, are they that much better? I've had an okay, no, I had a shit experience with MSI one time. I'm not gonna lie, I was an idiot and I put 2 4 terabyte hard drives in RAID 0. So that means if one hard drive fails, we lose all the data of 2 drives. I did that on my system, right? Like a dumbass. Even though that's where I didn't have a backup of my data and I was just keeping my data there. Basically what I did is I updated the BIOS on my motherboard and it destroyed the RAID array. So even though the data was still there, both the hard drives are still working. I couldn't make them match their data back again. And then I got on the phone with MSI and I asked them, I was like, hey, is there any way to do this? Just so I could at least recover the data. It's not like they broke. They were just like, why'd you do that? Why would you do that? I was like, I don't know, it's stupid. There's probably a way to do it too. And MSI was like, I don't know, man. I don't think they're all that good, bro. So I saying even EVGA screwed them before. RMA is 1080 Ti and they sent me a $50 cheaper card because they said they're out of the one. They should have given you a little bit of a credit for that.
But hopefully if enough people are vocal about this and it goes beyond sort of YouTube rage bait and we can actually start getting some policy involvement, which is the reason I contacted Lewis Rothman.
Now I will say like straight up that if we get, like if there's regulations that companies can't do this, we gotta realize that things are going to cost more. You pay for customer support. That's like one of the reasons why EVGA, I mean, usually their cards were a little bit more expensive, but they had great customer service usually.
Hopefully there's actual change here. And I'm actually somewhat optimistic about it because there's some people who sound very informed on all of this and like they might be able to make something happen in this industry as well as the ones they've already been working in. Unbelievably bad experience with Asus. If nothing else is taken away from this, take away that Asus's warranty service is absolute trash in our experience, and we cannot recommend them if you think you will ever need it.
Yeah, I don't trust them either, bro. That's why at this point with tech, I hope you just learn how to fix stuff yourself if you can. You shouldn't have to.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more. Grab this shirt on store.gamersnexus.net if you want to support our efforts directly, and we'll see you all next time.
Like every single opportunity they got, they either made the situation more confusing for you or they tried to upsell you to get other things. It was ridiculous, man. The thing about this is like the customer service experience. I know in the world that we live in, it ain't gonna happen like that. But the customer service experience needs to be smooth for most people. When people buy a product, people don't know everything they're talking about. Like, this is Gamers Nexus. They knew that this was a weird thing that Asus was doing, but a normal person might not know. And they're just like, oh, they're gonna fix. I guess I'll have them fix the dent of it. It's $200, but they're gonna fix other stuff. So they'll get people with that. The only way I think we really fix that is with regulation from the government. It's posted on the Asus subreddits about weekly or so. Wait, let me look at it. Oh my God, it's at the top right now from Steve here. It's time to move on with Asus. I've been an Asus fan since I was 13 years old. I'm 40 plus, bro. I bought dozens of motherboards throughout the years. Both my monitors are Asus. Bro, you're invested. Jesus. But since there are bumps all around the case of fail, and there was res yapping too much, but he's saying to give up on them. Asus Tough Gaming A15 video card disappeared. Hi, I have an issue on my laptop. Its graphics card suddenly disappeared. I don't think that's an RMA issue. Oh, I just want to see, are they like, they're having issues though. The thing about it though is on a Reddit, so this is probably a larger proportion, like a louder minority, even though it still might be really common. If you guys don't buy an Asus product, what are you buying? People are saying MSI, not Gigabyte. Well, yeah, I don't think you're buying a motherboard from Power Color. How's your guys' experience been with, what's the company called? Yeah, ASRock. Isn't that just a sub-brand of Asus too? Yeah, in terms of graphics cards, man, I only buy the Dell Alienware graphics cards. You know what I mean? I find them on eBay. Dude, that's insane, man. This whole situation, this is insane. By the way, if you guys haven't yet, go ahead and like the Gamers Nexus video. That's insane, man. And just like props to Gamers Nexus because like, man, they really do. They put in the work on this stuff, man. They're so thorough. I'm excited to see what the part 2 is going to be on this.